You're listening to the Afro Chi Podcast, a show for my fellow Black female energy healers and the everyday woman who wants to heal her energy in a creative and holistic way. You'll hear from Black female healers who share their knowledge, gifts, and experiences and enlighten you on how to tap into your powerful Black energy to get the results you need to live an energetically free life. If you're ready to become unstuck, find freedom and peace energetically, stay tuned. I'm your host, Tierra Flipping. Hello, Queens, and welcome to Season 2 of the Afro Chi Podcast. I'm so excited about Season 2 because we are focusing the entire season on the chakras. So each episode this season, we will be taking a deep dive into each chakra one by one. If you are just now getting started with us in Season 2, I encourage you to start with Episode 1, the root chakra, and begin to work your way all the way up through each chakra. We have an amazing guest today that is going to educate us about Svadhisthana, the sacral chakra. Our guest today is the owner of Soulful and offers meditation, yoga, massage, mindfulness, and mindset coaching, as well as motivational speaking. Our guest today is the beautiful Tierra of Soulful. How are you today?
I am great. How are you? I'm feeling blessed.
Feeling good. Yes, absolutely. And I'm so happy to have you. This is one of my favorite chakras, and it's one of my favorite because it took me a long time to tap into this chakra. And now that I have, it's one of my favorites. So I'm so excited to have you here to really educate the listeners about this chakra and just the beauty of the sacral chakra. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's in my top two.
Top two?
Well, it's in my top favorites, yes. The solar plexus is definitely my favorite solar plexus, and third eye, but sacral, I do love it as well.
Yeah.
It's definitely in my top.
Absolutely. So let's get started. Let's talk about, what are some of the basics when we think about the location, the color, some of the elements, the mantra. What can you tell us about the sacral chakra?
So the color associated with the sacral chakra is orange.
Okay.
It is located, I like to tell people, so when I teach class, I sometimes start with my students placing their left hand on their heart and their right hand right below their belly button. So that gives you like an idea of where the sacral chakra is located. Okay. Just to bring that awareness, to your heart chakra and then your sacral chakra, because both of them, I feel like all of them are of course intertwined, but I feel like these two, coincide. So it's right below, I like to tell people right below your belly button. It is associated with the water element.
Nice.
And well, I just came up with my own mantra.
Let me hear it.
Because it's funny, I tried to create a coaching program years ago when I wasn't tapped into my sacral chakra. So it clearly plummeted. And so the mantra I used with that program was, I allow the free flow of love, joy, creativity, and sexual energy into my life.
Love it.
Like all the things that, the chakra is associated with and rules basically in our mind, body, and spirit.
I love that mantra. That's something I need to say to myself every day, literally.
I can definitely send that to you offline.
Yes, I need that. I need to say that to myself every day. So location below the belly button, color orange. I love that mantra. And I know the seed sound is VAM, correct? VAM, VAM. Lam, VAM, RAM. Yep, VAM. So I'm thinking, going into, some of the principles and associations and thinking about some of the imbalances, I know for myself, I love to hum the seed sounds of each chakra when I'm trying to step into connecting with that chakra and balancing with that chakra. So utilizing VAM
Yes.
is a good way. So just thinking about some of the imbalances, what are some things that cause our sacral chakra to become imbalanced?
So from personal, I'm gonna speak from like my personal
Yeah,
experiences.
yeah.
Because I feel like you can Google all this stuff all day, any day, but it
Mm-hmm.
still might not resonate with you. Um, I think some things that cause imbalances are unhealed traumas
Mm-hmm.
that we have, internally,
Mm-hmm.
emotional, sexual trauma, broken relationships, and that could be uh, affectionate relationships, that could be familial relationships, that can be friend relationships, that could be your relationship
Mm-hmm.
with yourself, that could be your career, your passion, your goals.
Mm-hmm.
I think a huge one that we all deal with as humans is self-sabotage.
Mm.
So like
Okay.
self-limiting beliefs and stuff. A lack of boundaries
Mm-hmm.
can definitely cause imbalances in your sacral chakra. And I would say emotional immaturity. So a
Oh,
lot of people
wow.
aren't, in tune with their emotions. Like you're not emotionally aware, emotionally intelligent to
Mm-hmm.
actually control your emotions. A lot of us respond and react to different things that go in our lives off of emotional impulse. So
Mm-hmm.
when you just are super impulsive with your emotions, there is no control and everything just feels out of whack.
Yeah.
And you might just feel like you're just in a state like you're constantly being attacked, or you just might constantly be attacking other people and just projecting on
Uh-huh.
other people or not even realizing it. You just feel like everybody's against you when really it's you.
Mm-hmm.
So I think those are some of the like the biggest causes. But of
Mm-hmm.
course there are always other things that can lead to imbalances. Like your root chakra can be
Yep.
blocked. And that can cause the sacral chakra to be blocked, like a
Mm-hmm.
domino effect. So I just feel like, yeah, that's
What would you say are some of the signs that people can tell that their sacral chakra is imbalanced? Like, what are some things that people can pick up about themselves that'll give them a thought like, my sacral chakra is probably a little bit off right now?
like going back off what I just said, emotional imbalances.
Mm-hmm.
Like you just feel all over the place with your emotions. I would kind of say like a Gemini.
I love that. My husband's a Gemini, so I'm right here with you. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Not saying you Geminis are imbalanced, but I'm just saying, y'all can be happy one minute and then the next minute you just don't want to do anything with anybody.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also like that. I'm a Scorpio, so sometimes I want to be around people, sometimes I don't want to be bothered at all. It's
Mm-hmm.
just a natural thing. But I would definitely say you just feel like a lack of creativity, you just feel stuck.
So you're saying a lack of creativity.
Yes.
Okay, okay. Or
Uh-huh.
feeling stuck.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, just feeling stuck, like you're doing all this stuff, but it's still not getting you anywhere. Or you're just having like a brain blockage. You're constantly trying to create, and it's nothing coming from like your brainstorming sessions or anything. I would
Mm-hmm.
say discomfort or dis-ease in like your pelvic area, your
Okay.
like your lower back area.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Also issues or discomfort during sex.
Mm-hmm.
And I will also say reproductive issues as
Okay.
well, just to name a few.
Mm-hmm. And I can see everything that you're mentioning now is right in that area where that chakra is located.
Yeah.
So feeling like physically having any physical discomfort or physical issues there.
Hmm.
Um, and then spiritually, I'm hearing you talk about like that lack of creativity, feeling stuck and things like that. And then anything that you can add, like mentally, or any additional physical
Um,
or spiritual ways of us knowing that this chakra is imbalanced.
okay. I would say dependency, codependency on people, or
Okay.
things that bring us, because the sacral chakra rules like pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
So things that bring us pleasure. So codependency on alcohol, maybe
Mm-hmm.
codependency on drugs, codependency on sex. Like
Mm-hmm.
you're just constantly addicted to sex, or maybe porn or something like that, just to name a few.
Mm-hmm.
Gambling, uh,
Okay.
depression, anxiety, uh, manipulation.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, poor boundaries. So you don't have any boundaries in a place. And if you do have boundaries in a place, you don't respect them yourself, and then that in turn leads other people not to respect your boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
I will also say feeling out of body. So basically disconnected from your vessel overall. It's like
Yeah.
you'll be surprised how many people that I interact with or I talk to, and they're just saying, I just don't feel connected to my body. And I'm like, not how, because I don't want to come off like I'm judging, but it's just like, I just feel like I've done so much work, so much inner healing work to get where I am. Like I
Mm-hmm.
tell people all the time, I can tell when my hips are imbalanced, like I need to go get
Yep.
adjusted,
Yep.
or I feel like my shoulder is off or I need to get a pop back in or something. I just know when my body is just feeling out of whack a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Also, you can have panic attacks,
Okay.
lower back issues, internal organ issues like with your spleen and kidney,
Mm-hmm.
low energy, low blood sugar, just to name a few.
Wow.
Um,
I think that gives the listeners a lot. Like, I know they're probably checking off, like, yep, that,
yeah,
that.
I was writing down.
But no, that's good insight because, like you said, you've done a lot of internal work. And I think sometimes we're coming and going, we're moving and shaking, and we really don't sit down with self and be able to say, oh, my hips are imbalanced, or oh, my lower belly hurts. And if we do notice it, we don't sit down and explore what is causing it and
Okay.
how we fix it. So I appreciate that long list because that gives further insight to that
Yes,
chakra.
and sometimes, and I'm writing it, and I'm over here like, okay, am I experiencing? Yeah, am I experiencing this stuff right now? But no,
I
I'm good. I'm
know.
good. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good.
And what would you say are some ways for us to get it back in balance? Like what can you offer? Are there any foods or crystals, essential oils? Like what can we do to help to get this chakra back in alignment?
Okay, so I would be quite not myself if I didn't give any yoga poses.
Oh yes, give me some asanas. What you
Okay.
got?
So I would say Warrior One.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that opens up like the hips, of course. But
Okay.
supine plank, chair pose, downward facing dog, that opens up every chakra, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Yoga squat, which is absolutely one of my favorites. Happy baby, one-legged pigeon pose. Frog pose is definitely up there, one of my favorites as
Yeah.
well. It's a hip opener. Any splits, anything that's hip opening, I would say,
Mm-hmm.
like, because
Mm-hmm.
as human beings, especially like women, African Americans, we hold a lot of stress in our hips. Everything we hold is in our hips. That's why everybody always has lower back issues.
Yep.
Like, oh, my
Yep.
back hurts. Yes, because you are stressing about something, you might not even know it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but it's something there. So I think in other ways you can, balance it out is just being honest with yourself as far as like, putting boundaries into place. Um,
Mm-hmm.
let me look at my notes because
I love
exercise,
it. Yes.
exercise, journaling,
Mm-hmm.
meditation, wearing the color orange.
Absolutely.
You can get
Eating the
energy
color orange.
eating the color orange. Anything that's
Mm-hmm.
orange, anything that's alive. So, oranges. What else is orange? Carrots,
Yep.
peppers, bell peppers, anything that's alive. And also, I feel like this goes into like Ayurveda, like all these,
Mm-hmm.
everything,
It's
all
so
these, you have to know like your type. Like it's just so much you can go so deep into it, but on surface level, we can get energy healing done. You want
mm-hmm.
to stay hydrated. So if you're not drinking water, and this is a water element, I mean, how are you feeling it? Um, Essential oils that you can use: patchouli, bergamot, sandalwood, clary sage, jasmine, orange, of course, and
Yeah.
rose are just some. Releasing emotional baggage, you can go to therapy,
Mm-hmm.
or just find somebody that you feel comfortable talking to that
Yeah.
is going to actually listen, like actively listen, and not interrupt you while you're talking and try to give their 2 cents when that's
Mm-hmm.
not what you really need.
Mm-hmm.
And like I think the biggest thing is owning your shit.
Love
Period.
it. Love it.
Regardless of anything, owning your shit and just admitting like when you're right, when you're wrong. It's okay to say I'm wrong. Like embracing that shadow side, that dark side, just as much as you embrace all the highs that you have too. Because
Mm-hmm.
it's really hypocritical is a very negative word, but it just wouldn't balance out if you just try to portray like you're always just at a high point. You're just always perfect. My days are amazing, but you never have any low points. Even the best person in the world has low points. I have my points where I feel love
So true.
because I'm human. Like I tell people, like, yeah, I'm namaste all day, but I still, I still have my moments, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I still have my moments where I have to check myself and just like, all right, take a step back.
Yeah.
That's, dive in. I definitely try to, approach every situation in my life with intention, just being intentional
Mm-hmm.
with whatever it is.
In your experience, I know you mentioned just with the work that you do, trauma, and I'm trying to think of like, what are some things that we go through in life? What are some circumstances that we experience that may cause imbalance? And I know you mentioned trauma, and being a therapist, like that is one that really, really, really sticks out to me, especially with working with Black women in their traumatic experiences. I definitely see that causes the sacral chakra to become balanced. And you even went into detail to express sexual trauma as well. Just in the work that you've done, what are some other circumstances or events or just life, that happens that causes this sacral chakra to become imbalanced? What would you say?
Hey Queens, isn't this such a great episode? Be sure to check out the Afro Healers Directory, where you can find healers in your area offering similar services to the guests on today's podcast. If you are a healer, please be sure to join the directory so that Black women can locate your healing services and offerings. To join and view the directory, please visit afroqi.com. Okay, let's jump back into this episode.
I would say for me, personally, most recently, like loss, experiencing some type of loss.
Okay.
Whether that's like a family member or maybe you lost a child. That I think that's one of the biggest things. And also, I was having a conversation with my mentor. And one of my other friends, and we were just talking about, trauma that we experienced like when we were younger. And I was like, I never looked at this as like sexual trauma, like, something I experienced when I was a kid. I'm like, wow, like it happened, but I just compartmentalized it and I
Yeah.
just pushed it away for so long. I'm like, okay, well, this is why I look at these relationships like this, and that. And so the fact that I was able to, because I hadn't talked about it in years. Maybe I'm turning 30 this year, so maybe over 20 years probably.
Yeah.
I haven't opened my mouth and just thought about it. I'm like, damn, this is why I don't talk to this family member. Or this is why I look at, like, when people approach me about certain things, I react a certain way. So I definitely think it's a lot of underlying stuff, even like relationships we see in our families.
Yeah.
Like I've come from a family that my parents were divorced when I was younger. And earlier, and I think quarantine has also been forcing a lot of people to face their shadow sides.
Absolutely.
I told my mother, I was like, I never saw a healthy relationship, like adult relationship, growing up as a child, because y'all got a divorce. It was, arguments, yelling, screaming. So I never saw that growing up. So for me, as an adult, I have to figure out what that looks like for me, what that dynamic consists of. And so I think that is a lot of stuff that we experience internally, but externally that really shapes how our sacral chakra just plays out. And that could also be what we experience in our romantic relationships.
Very true.
I definitely had a very toxic relationship. My last relationship, that was like 5 years ago. Very toxic, a lot of emotional, mental abuse. And that just put me in a space of like, I was nasty. When the breakup happened, I was just in a very nasty place. And I was projecting that on everybody. So I had to like recluse, like just go into my bubble and just look at myself and just figure out where I wanted to go, what I wanted to do. And that's along with owning my shit.
Yep.
It's like, are you going to sit here, or are you just going, or are you going to make a difference, make a change? And that's how my fitness journey and my yoga journey picked back up, basically. So
and that's a beautiful connection. And going back even to the asanas that you mentioned, those hip openers, when I was in yoga teacher training, I never, well, before, I understand it now, but when I was in training, I never understood why I would get so emotional in hip openers. And now I know it's because when I was in those hip openers, there were a lot of subconscious things that were being released as I was breathing through those asanas. Like, things were literally releasing. Like, that is a way to really truly open that chakra and to let some things go. But it really, again, goes back to being in tune and tapping into yourself.
Yeah, I tell people all the time, like, camel pose, if you want to feel something, go into camel pose, because it opens up everything. Like, I know I've been in class before and I've come out of camel pose, and this is when I used to practice Bikram yoga like 6 times a week. And I came out of camel pose and I'm just crying. I'm like, what the heck? I'm looking around like, anybody else see me crying? But I'm crying. I was like, why am I crying? And then the instructor, she's just like, this pose just opens up so much. And it just forces so many things to come to surface that we didn't even know that we were holding on to. So I get it.
I love it. So as we wrap up, I just want to know, how can we tell that our chakra is balanced? So we talked a lot about the imbalances and how to get it balanced, and certain situations and circumstances that cause imbalance. Once we've worked through it, how can we be like, you know what? I think I'm good. I think my sacral chakra is good. Like, I'm healed. Like, I'm feeling good. What are some signs that lets us know that we are healthy, that we are balanced in this area?
I would just say everything happens with ease.
Love it.
Like, it's no forcing. Like, our relationship with ourselves is just, it's natural. You not caring, you don't care what everybody else is doing around you, everybody else's opinions about you. It's just like, this is me, this is who I am. I am just authentically me. I would say that there's reciprocity in all your relationships. 360. That's with yourself, other people, with the world, source, God, you know. For example, I just launched my new coaching program yesterday, and it sold out in 4 minutes. And I'm like, oh shit. But when I tried to do this a couple years ago, it was a bust. It was terrible. It didn't go anywhere. And I'm like, okay, now I'm realizing that I'm fully stepping into my purpose. Like,
absolutely.
You get to a point where you just receive you're open to receiving. You're open to receiving, you're open to giving, experiencing, and just being in the state of flow that you know you're going to be okay. Absolutely. And you have nothing to worry about. And that's with abundance, your experiences, relationships, all that. Also, like, I don't know, everything is just,
what about like sexually? Like, I'm thinking of all of the women that are listening to this. Like, what about just like stepping into like your sexuality, your femininity, like just being comfortable with being a woman, right? Like,
and I love to talk about sex and how same thing. Like, I just feel like as women so much, especially with everything going on with Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion's WAP song, it's just everything is just so criticized. And it's just like, when I would definitely say both of them have stepped fully into their divine femininity. You just don't care. Like, I know I'm a sexual being. Like, I had to embrace that I just give off some type of sexual aura, even when I'm not trying to be sexual. I had to accept that regardless. You are in tune with yourself. You masturbate. You're okay with, like, you can manifest from masturbating. A lot of people don't know that. You spend more time with yourself romantically. And necessarily that doesn't mean masturbating, because sexual doesn't always mean like the physical sexual. That could be mental stimulation, conversation, stuff like that. But
absolutely,
you know exactly what you want and need, especially like in the bedroom. Like you can tell your partner, this is what I want. This is what makes me feel good. All that stuff. Like you really spend time with yourself as a woman. Look at your vagina. A lot of women don't even know what their vagina looks like. Look at it. Figure out where your G-spot is. Pamper it. Get your waxes. Do your yoni steams. Once you start to be at ease, I feel like a lot of things are affected. Like for me, I'm not on birth control. I haven't been on birth control for about maybe going on 4 years now. Best decision I ever made in my life. One, because I'm learning to trust my body even more. Now my cycle used to be synced with the new moon. Now I'm synced with the full moon. So now I know, like, okay, things are starting to transform for me. And I'm only on my cycle for 3 days. But mind you, I was a person who used to be on for 7 days, cramp 7 days straight. I have terrible cramps, like endometriosis runs in my family. I still cramp bad sometimes, depending like on my diet, what I'm eating lately. But like I said, I'm only on for 3 days. I don't bleed heavy anymore. And it's just like, okay, it's just something I embrace. Like I'll just let a free flow happen. I don't wear pads that like always pads are, organic. Actually, I don't even wear pads for real. I use a flex cup. So I really put a lot of pride and a lot of attention in being intentional when it comes to my vaginal health.
And I'm so glad we're on this topic, because I feel like that is directly related with this chakra. And I feel like it's some things that a lot of women neglect or feel weird about doing,
So that, what you're eating, are you taking vitamins? Like I said, are you staying hydrated? Who are you sleeping with?
That
can throw you off. Like you have to, like, I don't care if you love to have sex. I love to have sex. Like I said, I'm a sexual being. I love it. But you also can't be, out here with any and everybody. You gotta be stingy with it. So you gotta just be mindful of who you are sleeping with, because that can throw you off as well. That can cause some blockages. So make sure you're cutting cords, and ties to people, doing your yoni steams, taking your probiotics, all of that.
I love it. This is so educational. Oh my gosh. So guys, if you are feeling like how I'm feeling, like, oh my goodness, she is dropping some gems. She said her coaching program was sold out, y'all. So you might have to catch her when she opens it again, to really reach out to Tierra for some mindset and mindfulness coaching. Also hit her up for some motivational speaking, as well as yoga and massage. I see sometimes you do the lives with yoga, so maybe people can catch you there, as well as meditation. So I thank you so much, Tierra, for coming on and educating all the listeners. I know they had pen and paper out, taking notes on everything you said, because you shared a plethora of information. So I thank you for sharing your personal story and educating us and sharing your knowledge.
Thank you for having me. I truly appreciate it. I feel like I haven't seen you in so long.
I know.
It's okay. I'm excited to see your journey.
Thank you.
Your training and stuff, how everything turns out and pans out, because this is a new thing for all of us. So
absolutely.
It's definitely adapts or get swallowed up, basically. So.
Thanks for joining us this week on the Afro Chi podcast. Be sure to visit our website at afroqi.com and on all social media platforms at The Afro QI. Subscribe to this podcast now so you never miss a show.